I might see somebody, but they brought in the big gun in terms of swagoo. But here's what they really did, ladies and gentlemen. America, are you watching? This is a tsunami of women coming onto the show today. They ganging up on me. Molly took the day off. Wait till you see who's hosting the show. You see Kimberly Martin with her glitz and glitter and her snazziness, all of this other stuff, just all up in our faces. You know what I'm saying? The colors. I don't know what the hell is going on, Swagoo. I really don't know. I thought I was just gonna have to deal with you, but evidently I'm in a world of trouble. The ladies are coming for Stephen A today. The ladies, and you know what makes it worse? Swagoo is gonna jump on this side. He gonna go against the brother. He gonna go against the brother. And guess what I got to say about that? That's kind of smart. I would go with the ladies too if I wasn't going up against Stephen A. First taste in the house. Holla at your boy. You know. You know.
My mindset is to continue to be great regardless of what they do to try to stop me.
When you start stacking up the numbers for Davante, it's mind-blowing.
Touchdown! Davante Adams again!
Good morning, friends. Happy Friday. Welcome to First Take. And Stephen A. is talking about all this pink that we got on set today.
See, Will.
What's up, Swagoo? How are you?
What's up, C? How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Happy to be here. Happy to be joining you guys. I'm happy to be with you, Stephen A.
It's nice to see you, Christine. It's nice to see you. You know I got love for all of y'all. But you see, I call you Christine. Swagoo said, "What's up, C?" So you see how this works?
Evan.
You see how this works already?
You're in your baker right now. You're in your feelings.
I'm worried. I see the setup coming. I see the setup. Okay, let's go.
It's gonna work out. It's gonna work out.
I see this. It's
gonna be great. It's gonna be great. We got a lot to get to. Let's start here. The Las Vegas Raiders have acquired Pro Bowl wide receiver Davante Adams from the Green Bay Packers in exchange for their first and second round pick in this year's draft. It's a 5-year deal, around $28.5 million per season, which includes $67.5 million guaranteed. Now, Adams' new quarterback, which is also his old quarterback, tweeted simply, "Welcome home." Now, sources told ESPN's Rob Demovsky that Aaron Rodgers was already aware of the developments with Adams as they unfolded, but the question is, with all of that drama that surrounded Rodgers before he signed his extension with the Packers, is he to blame for Adams leaving? Stephen, I'm gonna start with you.
Well, first of all, do I have permission to speak? Do I have permission to speak?
You may.
Christine, is all right?
It's all right.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure because it's usually ladies first. I thank y'all for allowing me to speak. Let me say this. You know, I got to put it on Aaron Rodgers. I really, really do.
Okay.
I can't front. You got your bag. What did I do, Marcus? The moment we learned that Aaron Rodgers was signing his new deal, the first words out of my mouth was, "I don't give a damn. It's nothing new. It's nothing surprising here." Okay. The second words out of my mouth was, "Is Davante Adams going to get his money?" And when I said that, I was talking about Green Bay. Now, I can't put it on Green Bay because according to the reports, they matched the offer that the Las Vegas Raiders threw out there for Davante Adams. And they could have easily franchise tagged him as well. So they could have played hardball, forced him to stay at Lombardi Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and the Green Bay Packers didn't do that. Now, one could argue he tight with Aaron Rodgers, so Aaron Rodgers wanted his boy to be happy. Derek Carr's his friend. They were at Fresno State together. Plus, Derek Carr's a pretty decent quarterback, and he's very friendly with Aaron Rodgers. He was praising Aaron Rodgers when he won that final regular season game, and he was going to the postseason and all of that stuff. We saw all of that from Derek Carr, so we know how much love and respect he has for that bad man that is Aaron Rodgers. But what I'm thinking about is this. Aaron Rodgers was complaining about the Green Bay Packers organization. All of a sudden, you know what? Things amended to some degree. Fences amended to some degree. You end up staying, and not only that, you get the bag. Now, you knew when you got the bag, you know what? You knew that Davante Adams was going to probably leave. Here you are with Valdez Scantling as your receiver and Alan Lazard as your receiver. You should have been raising holy hell and do everything you possibly could to keep Davante Adams. Even though he's your boy, even though you know he would be happy in Las Vegas, you should have exhausted every means and every measure if you're Aaron Rodgers to make sure that your primary weapon, arguably the best receiver in all of football, stays in Green Bay. That doesn't seem to be something that you did. What seems to have happened is that you got your money. That was a priority. Yeah, I'd like to keep the brother, but if he wants to leave, okay. I got nothing but love for you. I appreciate you. Good luck in Vegas. That doesn't sound to somebody like me that's prioritizing winning. It sounds to me like somebody that prioritized getting the bag, which is what Aaron Rodgers ended up doing. So I'm going to hold him culpable to some degree because Green Bay clearly let Aaron Rodgers know what the situation is. Davante Adams clearly let Aaron Rodgers know what the situation is. And the only thing we know that's happened is that Aaron Rodgers walked away with $50 million a year, and he good. But Green Bay ain't better today because Davante Adams is gone. I can tell you that much.
No, but that's also on Green Bay's front office. I understand if you're Aaron Rodgers and you take up most of the pie with your $50 million a year, yes, you have to understand that if they're going to give this much to you, that means there's less for everybody else. But here's the thing, Stephen A., my dear. The front office had a chance to give Davante Adams what he wanted. We all know, if I know that this guy wants to make well north of $20 million, the front office knows. They knew already. They could have signed him to an extension last year. He wanted to be the highest paid wide receiver. They had all this time to do that. But what were they doing the last 2 years? What was Green Bay doing? They were thinking about Aaron Rodgers' feelings. They were making sure that Aaron Rodgers knew, hey, you know what, Jordan Love? Yeah, we were thinking about the future, but our bad, because we understand that you really are the present. And how do we make this up to you? You want Randall Cobb? Cool, let's get him. You want this coach? Cool, we're having him. They did everything. Matt LaFleur was literally in tearing up in press conferences talking about, I need Aaron, I hope he comes back. This offseason, Gutekunst was talking about, we're not going to put any pressure on Aaron Rodgers. He'll let us know when he's good and ready, what's going on. If you allow Aaron Rodgers to hold you up in the bank, you can't be mad that all your money's gone. That is on the front office. Aaron Rodgers can act however he wants because he's one of the best players to ever play the game. But the miscalculation is that now you've cost yourself Davante Adams because Davante Adams saw when you really want something, you will do whatever it takes to reclaim it, to keep it. Davante Adams feels that he is just as important to this Packers offense as Aaron is. But the front office, that's the disconnect. The front office did not think so. So they were like, oh, Aaron. Meanwhile, Davante's over here hello. And this is why he is with Derek Carr, about to live state income tax-free life in Vegas because the front office made a choice waiting for Aaron Rodgers.
I'll get back at you. I'll let Swag get in here, but you've made a few errors, Kim, and I'm going to address them. But go ahead, Swag.
Well, SA, you know how you and I talk all the time. I would much prefer that Vegas weather than Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's number one. There were a lot of incentives to leave Green Bay if you Davante Adams. But I'm with you. I'm more in line. And Kim, you said nothing wrong, KM. You said nothing wrong. But I'm more in line with Stephen A. We talked about this. SA, you and I talked about this, and we butted heads a little bit, but we both aligned in this regard. Aaron Rodgers is the reason Davante Adams is not there. This is not just this year, y'all. We talking about this trade because it just happened. We've been talking about Aaron Rodgers not being wishy-washy with the Green Bay Packers for 2 years. And remember, let me remind everybody as well, we've been talking about they do Aaron Rodgers so wrong because they are devoid of talent. They have no weapons on the outside. So where are you now, Aaron Rodgers? Where are you now, Green Bay Packers? You better hope that one of these veterans want to sign there. But why would they want to sign there? They don't know if the quarterback is going to want to come back next year. I know he signed a 3-year deal. He was under a contract when he spent the entire offseason away from the team, not knowing if he was coming back a couple years ago. So this contract don't mean nothing as far as his decision-making process when it comes to, you know what, I might not feel like playing for Green Bay next year. I know I'm under contract, but I'm going to force their hand because we get on television and we talk about his talent and all of these things. And when I said the Green Bay Packers need to cut ties with Aaron Rodgers. And yes, that may have meant the departure of Davante Adams, but you wouldn't be here with an unknown at quarterback as well, because I tell you this, I guarantee you, we are going to have stories about Aaron Rodgers being disgruntled and how is this offense operating if they don't get this fixed and find the number one wide receiver. And let me get to this part too, all right? Because this is actually the elephant in the room. To the point of you all saying it was about Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers' money. You know what else it was about? It's a great song by one of your dear friends, Stephen A., by the name of Mary J. Blige, No More Drama. And that's what Davante Adams was saying. I don't want no more of this drama. I done sat here for 2 years as one of the most elite wide receivers in the NFL, if not the best wide receiver. And I've had to deal with not knowing and not having communication. Like, I even thought him and Aaron Rodgers was talking throughout all of these processes. And he gonna just stay in Green Bay? And he gonna stay there, not knowing if he gonna have a guy to deliver him the football? The Las Vegas Raiders just signed Josh McDaniels as a head coach. They got Derek Carr, who's his best friend. They got a lot of players on that roster that they just signed and that are gonna be there for a while. Davante Adams ain't want no more Aaron Rodgers drama. That's why he's out of Green Bay.
Well, listen, let me say this. I appreciate you making that point. I appreciate you making my point, because that's exactly why, Kim, I'm not going the route of the Green Bay Packers organization. We've gotten on them enough. The reality of the situation is this. When you look at Gutekunst and the Green Bay Packers organization, here's the situation. They said, Aaron Rodgers, what do you want? That's what they did. You know what Aaron Rodgers said? I want the bag.
I want
That's
it
what he
all.
said. I want the bag. I want it all. And so when you talk about a guy that felt disrespected, that made sure it was disseminated that he wasn't being respected enough, that his opinion wasn't being valued enough, et cetera, it is clear that what they did and what they have done since last summer was at least consult with Aaron Rodgers and give him some information and give him some level of input. So the fact that they gave him that kind of input and we end up here with your number one weapon gone, that is not an indictment against the Green Bay Packers organization. That is an indictment against Aaron Rodgers, and I'm going to tell you why. Remember, they had his rights. All right, they could have franchise tagged him.
They did franchise tag him, and they could have allowed the Raiders sign the offer sheet. They could have brought.
But that's what I'm saying. They franchised them, and they could have kept them. They matched the offer. Did they not match the offer that the Las Vegas Raiders
No, they
gave
traded him. They traded him.
I'm talking about in terms of what they offered Davante Adams before he said he wanted out.
They claim now that they would have given the same amount.
Okay, that's
of money.
fine. But come on,
But
girl.
you had,
come on, sweetie.
Friend,
I mean, we both
had all this
covered
time.
sports. You know what I mean.
If I'm saying, Steven, when are you going to put a ring on it? And you're like, oh, girl, I got you. Hold on. And I'm like, okay, but damn, it's been a year. Like, where's this ring?
It's been 2 years.
Where's the ring?
You gonna move
and you're
on.
like, I got you. And then when I jump and find somebody else, you're like, well, damn, girl, I would have given you that ring if you had held on a second.
Tell me. There are that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is that he never intended to give you the ring to begin with and didn't want to. Now, I can't imagine something like that happening to Kim. I can't imagine something like that happening to Kim. That would never happen to Kim. I get all that. But the point is, that's what happened to Davante Adams, okay? So all I'm trying to say to you is this. All I'm trying to say is, wait a minute here. In the end, I'm not trying to say your information is incorrect. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that perspective matters. And in this case, you can't tell anybody that more the perspective leans on the shoulders of the Green Bay Packers as an organization when they just gave Aaron Rodgers $50 million a year. You can't do that, especially when you're talking about the greats like a Tom Brady and others who made sacrifices by taking a little less, making sure there was more for somebody else, by also committing to saying, yo, I want to be here, as opposed to waffling back and forth as to whether or not, you want to be the incarnation of Brett Favre. I don't know what I want to do. I want to go into India and take a 12-day cleanse and then come on national television and radio announcing the nastiness of the particulars involving the cleanse. And then after that, you know what, you're feeling healthy and holistic and all of this other stuff. And everything's going on with you. But then in the end, you end up getting the bag of $50 million a year. Diana Rossini reported last year, quote, Aaron Rodgers wants to be the highest paid player in all of football. That's what he wants. And then a year later, what do we have him? As the highest paid player in football. That's not a coincidence. He knew what he wanted to do. He prioritized himself. There's no crime against it.
No.
There's no shade that should be thrown on him because of it. But the shade kicks in. The shade kicks in where couldn't you have prioritized just as equally keeping your number one weapon?
That's on everybody. That's
Yeah,
on the
but
front
don't-
office.
but-
It's more than Aaron Rodgers.
That's all.
It's
That's
more
all.
than Aaron
I'm
Rodgers.
done. I'm done.
Don't tell me about how bad they've drafted and you don't have no weapons and then want to go command that.
Well, that's coming
I got
next.
It. I
That's
got,
coming next.
I'm going to lay out. I know we got to get on.
All right, we got more on the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams coming up later. Before that, it comes as no surprise that months out of Cleveland, he has officially requested a trade, telling ESPN's Adam Schefter that it's in the best interest of both sides to move on. This on the same day that the Browns learned that they were out of the running to acquire Deshaun Watson, and a couple of days after Bake took to social media to say his farewell to Browns fans. The question here, and I'm going to start with you, Kimberly, on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Which side looks worse in this situation? Is it Baker or is it the Browns?
It's Baker. It is Baker, and I love Baker. I'm like a Baker apologist at this point. You cannot have all these feelings. This is business. You really can't. Because in the NFL, and again, you guys know, everything, this is about relationships. And the Browns and Baker are in a marriage. But in Baker's mind, it's, I'm your quarterback. Like, this organization drafted me, so I should be here. And that is not how the NFL works. You are here as long as you produce on the field. And if you give us any reason to think that you might not be the answer, then we have to go elsewhere and look. Now, Baker wasn't told directly, but his camp was told. Now, where the breakdown of communication was as far as how Baker didn't know that the Browns were going to be after Deshaun Watson, I don't know. But Baker's a smart guy. And here, it's not even about Deshaun. The issue is, last offseason, the Browns had a chance to extend, to give him a long-term contract. And what did the Browns do? They didn't do that. They had a chance to pay him money, and he's been mad about it since, which I get. But here's the problem. Like, Aaron Rodgers has everybody thinking that just because you're unhappy, just because you're a quarterback and feel like you need to be an ownership in the front office, everybody needs to make you feel loved, Aaron Rodgers has everybody thinking that that's how it has to be, that you deserve that. Baker does not deserve that. And I'm saying this as a Baker fan because I love the attitude, I love the emotion, but it's the emotion and the immaturity that has him writing, tweeting all this stuff that is unnecessary. Because at the end of the day, you are under contract. You can say, oh, ESPN, trade me somewhere. What the hell are they going to do? I'm under contract. I'm not going anywhere. Is there a market for Baker? Do the Colts? He wants to go to the Colts. Do the Colts want you, Baker? No, that's the issue. Yes, hon.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
But Marcus Spears, Swagoo, forgive me for asking Christine and Kim this question. I thought y'all were happy about us showing our emotions. I thought that we needed to.
Oh, hey,
Not to the world. Not to the world.
I thought that, you know what, why we got to be macho? Why can't we open up and show our emotions and let it go? That's what I thought. I thought that you would be up here.
You can tell me how you feel over dinner
Thank you.
and behind closed doors, but not when we talk about football. Like, keep all that stuff out of here. It's about football. Win me a game and be quiet. That's it.
I just appreciate the education that y'all are providing to a national audience. A whole bunch of men are out there watching first take right now. Hold on, let's get this straight, because I want to make sure I want clarification, ladies. So what the ladies are up here telling us this morning, fellas, all the fellas out there in the world, all the fellas, you know what? When you take them out to dinner and stuff like that, you can express your emotions. When you come home, you can express your emotions. But damn it, when we talking football, so football Sunday, football Thursday night, Marcus, football Monday night. All right, I mean, no emotion allowed. Am I correct? Am I correct? I just want to make sure. Because I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. I mean, so Thursday, Sunday, and Monday,
but
no
over
emotion allowed.
Over dinner, I'm going to tell you where you're messing up. That's the thing. I'm going to tell you where you're not hitting all the benchmarks, right?
Right.
So I'm going to be clear, and that's what the Browns have done.
But you're holding them accountable for being emotional.
I'm holding him accountable for not having a clear vision of the type of player he has been to this point. And then on top of that, sprinkling all the emotion on it. That's my issue. Is Deshaun a better quarterback than you? Yes. Do you understand that in the NFL it's about production only? Yes. Like that is the bottom line. The GM, the front office, it's a business. I'm cool with Aaron Rodgers getting the bag, Davante getting the bag. What's the problem now? What's the problem now?
I appreciate this position. I just didn't expect it to come from you.
Oh, no, I don't do feelings. I do not do feelings. I don't.
Kid's a little bit hardcore, Swagoo. I mean, damn, she hardcore. Okay,
Yeah.
All right, we got that. But I will tell you something you missed.
Ooh.
Baker Mayfield looks worse for a different reason.
Okay.
Freddie Kitchens was once the head coach for this franchise. Whose fault was that? That was second-year quarterback Baker Mayfield, who was politicking for him because you had a personal relationship and got along with him the first year when Hugh Jackson was there. And as a result, you pushed for a dude that clearly wasn't ready to be a head coach. So you took that franchise back. Now, they aimed in the right direction when they brought on Kevin Stefanski, and obviously Andrew Berry is your executive, and we know for the most part they've done a good job in terms of accumulating talent, right? So they got a damn good roster, which is why they were such a huge disappointment, because when you look at Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, you look at Jarvis Landry with Odell Beckham Jr. and Joko and those boys, there was no excuse for them to suffer the way that they suffered, and we get all of that. But Baker Mayfield was the ringleader in all of that in terms of taking the franchise back by basically helping to push and implore them to insert Freddie Kitchens as your head coach. And then last year, we saw after Odell Beckham Jr. arrived in L.A. that something was wrong in Cleveland even more, because Odell Beckham Jr. was making sure people knew he wasn't even getting the ball in practice. So you had a situation where Baker Mayfield wasn't throwing him the ball, wasn't looking to target him, no matter what. And when he went to Los Angeles, even as a secondary option, once Robert Woods went down, of course, which is when he first arrived there, the bottom line is, as a secondary option, he had a quarterback that found a way to give him the ball. So how could you not give him the ball if you Baker Mayfield in Cleveland? Those are the glaring things about Baker Mayfield that really stands out. Yes, his personality is problematic, but it's usually problematic because he hasn't played up to snuff. If the brother was playing like he was in college when he won the Heisman, you know what, that attitude is acceptable. If you came to the NFL and you were balling, then that attitude is acceptable. But when you're not balling, you can't have that kind of attitude. That's what happened. And he didn't just have it on the field with players. He had it from an organizational perspective in terms of opening his mouth and imploring them to do things he had no business having any input in. That's where Baker Mayfield is most culpable. The man had more progressive commercials than wins.
I love the
in his
progressive
4 years.
They are very good.
Yeah, but still, I love the progressive commercials too if you win it. But when you lose it, it's making me say, what the hell are you doing having a commercial? And he had more progressive commercials in 4 years than he did wins. And so we look at it from that perspective. There is no denying there's accountability on his part because of those things. Go ahead, Swagoo.
There is truth that we have been spitting on this show, and I'm just going to add to this truth. And like my grandmother used to tell me all the time, you better know your place, son. You better understand where you are when you in different environments, in different situations, and understand the type of power you either hold or the type of power that the people hold around you, and you abide accordingly. And this is the problem with Baker Mayfield. And this is why we've talked about this, Stephen A., you and I, and you, Kim, for so many years. And everybody has told me you don't like Baker Mayfield. You hate Baker Mayfield. What Baker Mayfield did to you? No. Baker Mayfield came into the NFL and did not understand how the NFL works. Just because you're drafted #1 overall, just because you're a quarterback, does not mean that those other grown men in that locker room are going to respect you because of that. They are going to respect you because of your play and because of how you interact with those guys. And if y'all see us, and if everybody in America watches us on this show, and we talk about how bad and emotional emotional Baker Mayfield has been in certain situations, what the hell you think them dudes in the locker room talking about? I've been in the locker room. I understand how it is looked at when Baker Mayfield talks about Duke Johnson. Either you own the train or you not. That ain't none of your damn business. That's Duke Johnson contract negotiation. When you come out and you talk about Hugh Jackson and you've been in the NFL 3 minutes and you talking about a coach don't know what he's doing. Who do you think you are? So here we are again. Here we are again. Now, if we talking about Aaron Rodgers and the way he plays, you can say whatever the hell you want to say and get $50 million. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers would have got $50 million from somewhere else. So I ain't giving the Green Bay Packers front office no love for that either. But back to Baker. When you have an opportunity, because remember, y'all, 2 years ago, everybody went crazy about the season that Baker Mayfield had. That's a season of an average quarterback. But because we don't have see, this is the misconception about Baker Mayfield. Everybody thinks because you're a number 1 overall draft pick and you're a quarterback that we put you at that standard. We automatically put you at that standard. This guy's supposed to be that. And Baker Mayfield wanted to operate that way, alluding to the progressive commercials. Those commercials came because he was the number 1 overall draft pick. They damn sure ain't come because he was leading the league in nothing. So when we start having this conversation going forward about the Cleveland Browns front office and Baker Mayfield's emotions, this ain't nothing new, y'all. Baker Mayfield been emotional and causing issues within that organization and publicly. Now he wants out. You know why? Because it's hard to play in this league. It's hard to be a number 1 overall pick and play quarterback and try to get a franchise out of the mud. It's hard to do that. And you have to produce that on the field with your arm and your ability to play more than what you say. And he ain't figured that out yet.
Nobody is surprised, I feel like, that Bake is doing this. As you said, he's been a very emotional guy. Also, he's used to being the guy. So the fact that he's not, I feel like, is causing him to be in his feelings. All right, Kimberly Swagoo, we'll have you back very shortly. We got to get to some college. High-power offense yesterday, signing receiver Allen Robinson to a 3-year, $45 million deal. Stephen A., what does this do for the Raiders' offense?
Oh, it's big time. There's no question about it. I mean, when you consider what he brings to the table, you talk about Allen Robinson. First of all, listen, the Rams, you got Cooper Kupp still there. Robert Woods, we hope will be back. We anticipate that. They're still looking to sign Odell Beckham Jr., even though I think that obviously Allen Robinson getting this deal compromised some of the bag for Odell. But that's what comes with the territory when you get injured, which he did. But I love it. I love it for the Rams, personally. Allen Robinson's a big-time receiver. I like him a lot. He's just in the wrong place.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, Deshaun Watson is making things very interesting across the board in the NFL. The race to trade for Watson is now down to 2 teams, with Adam Schefter reporting the Panthers were told they were out of the running yesterday. That leaves the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. Watson did not play last season, but the Texans' asking price, as has been widely reported, begins at 3 first-round picks. So the question here is Deshaun Watson actually worth that, Kimberly?
You are worth whatever your employer or what any prospective employer wants to pay.
I actually agree with that. That's true. That's true.
Let's be clear. You are worth whatever the market dictates.
We know that.
Sir, are you not worth what you're earning right now? You are, yes, because ESPN is paying you that.
Oh,
right?
Oh,
you're getting it.
Talk about you since you opened that Pandora's box.
No, but I'm giving you.
No, I'm worth more.
Well, gosh darn it! You know, I should have known. You know what, America? I should have known. That's my bad.
More.
That is my bad because I put it on the tee, and before I could pick up that ball, he was like, "Bang!" It's my fault.
Worth more. I gave them a ball.
My apologies.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for what I got. Make sure to Kimberly, I am grateful. I am grateful for what I got. But do I believe I'm worth more? You damn right.
So
yes, I do. Yes, I do. Go ahead. Yes.
You're right.
Yes, you're damn right I am.
Listen. Wow. If Matthew Stafford can fetch you 2 1s and a 3, then Deshaun Watson, to me, he's a top. He may not be top 5 QB, but he's a top 10 QB. There's a reason that 4 teams, despite the 22 different civil suits that were levied against him, 4 teams still vying for his affection, vying for his attention. Matt Ryan, could we postpone your little bonus? Because we trying to do some business over here. There's a reason he is that good. And this is why I bring up the market. There are so many desperate teams out there who do not have any quarterback options. So is he worth 3 ones? He could be worth 5 ones if somebody is willing to pay that because they are that desperate. That's why I brought up foolishly Stephen A. Salad, because people can say whatever they want, but if someone is willing to give that, then you are worth it.
Okay, couple of things. Number one, the His and Hers podcast, I still haven't received my invite from the ladies. I mean, I'm noticing that. I'm just saying, the ladies are hating on me. I just want to say that. I just want to say that.
There is
you know what I'm saying?
You know on it. It's first take, her take, which is why the invitation has gotten lost in the mail.
Okay. Let me tell you something, Kimberly Martin. You better be careful what you say. I will remind you, not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 older sisters raised me, and they watch every day. You better watch that. I got some female backup. I got some female backup. They don't know Swagoo. Now, they love Kimberly. They love Kimberly. But Molly got in trouble because my sister Carmen didn't like her tone one day, okay? Now, she got the support of my sister Linda because Linda's a diehard Giants fan just like Molly is. So Linda just turned against me in a heartbeat, okay? But because she a Giants fan. But Carmen, Molly got, Molly been watching her stuff. That's why she off today, because Carmen didn't like the way she was talking.
Get out of here.
That's number one. Number 2.
Yes.
For record ratings, NBA countdown, you damn right I'm worth more. I ain't apologizing for that. Now, I'm very honored that ESPN takes care of me the way that they do, and I'm honored to be a part of this network. But make no mistake about it. You know what I'm saying? The money that I bring into this place, hell yeah, I'm worth it. That's number 2.
Think about the seats that Deshaun will fill.
Let's be very, very clear. That not only am I worth it, all of y'all are worth it because y'all helped me be me. So let's be very clear about that. That's number 2. Number 3, Deshaun Watson. Yes, Kimberly, it is absolutely correct. You're worth what the market would allow. We got that. Let's get a bit more pragmatic about this. We really talking about what would you give up for him? That's what we really mean by that question. I'll give up 2 number ones from Deshaun Watson, but I'm going to use, from a managerial perspective, I'm going to use this year that he missed against him now. I'm going to use the 22 cases civilly that he still has against him now. I'm going to also use the fact that I don't know what the NFL is going to do as it pertains to the punishment they're going to hand down to him once he gets picked up by a team. And I've been on the record, Kim, Swagoo, saying I don't like the fact that the NFL doesn't advertise this is what your punishment is going to be at the very least. They don't have to be definitive, like you can modify it down the road. But damn, that we sitting here wondering what the punishment is going to be at all when you got teams interested in them. I'm just saying, hold on.
In your argument,
we let you speak. We let you speak. You know, the lady's going to get the last word because that's who you are. We got that. But the point is this. You have a situation where you could sell something. You could at least say to an NFL team, look, if you acquire him, he's going to miss half the season. You could say that. You could tell somebody that, okay? Because not knowing, I think, is wrong on the NFL to not do that. You need to do something, at least the floor. Having said all of that, Deshaun Watson's a big-time quarterback when he's on the field. We get all of that. The brother's a stud. I would have loved to have had him with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't give me no damn Mitchell Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, or Dwayne Haskins. I'd give them away, plus I'd give him half the damn team to get Deshaun Watson. I mean, compared to those 3. But the bottom line is this. From the standpoint of he's great, we get it, but there's a few great quarterbacks in the NFL that hasn't happened for. I'd give up 2 firsts for him, okay? But I would definitely use some of what happened to him against him because I don't know what kind of punishment is coming down the pike. It wouldn't be more than 2 first-round picks for me that I would surrender.
Oh, man, you'll give up 3 first-round picks.
I mean, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Stephen A., think about these franchises, bro. We talking about Atlanta, who is basically already told Matt Ryan, you going somewhere else. And if they don't get Deshaun Watson, they in an abyss for the next 3 to 4 years. If you think about New Orleans coming off of Drew Brees, and I don't know why New Orleans is not crazy about Jameis Winston. I get it that Sean Payton was his guy, and that was the part of that process. But I thought Jameis would have been more of a priority. Obviously not above Deshaun Watson. But 3 first-rounders for a 26-year-old quarterback that you think going to lead your franchise as a QB for the next 10 years, that's not asking a lot because you got time for that franchise to fix itself after giving those picks away. And we understand the impact of what a quarterback can do for your football team. And I got to believe, too, that if Atlanta or if New Orleans gives up 3 first-round picks, this is their mindset. We have Deshaun Watson now, and I will not. It's 22 civil lawsuit. He gonna miss some time. Let's get that out there. And to your point, Stephen A., that may be a negotiating tactic from Atlanta and New Orleans to get Houston to bring him over and say, hey man, we taking Deshaun off your hands, but we also are incurring some things that's going to come down the road that's not going to be beneficial to us and what we're trying to do. But ultimately, we know. And we've been around this league long enough to know that when the football games start being played, after whatever transpires with Deshaun Watson off the field, these franchises only care about winning. This ain't a situation where you are going to have some moral high ground all of a sudden happen from owners or general managers that's going to stop them from going get Deshaun Watson with this narrative that's out there right now that he can change your franchise. You give up 3-1s if you were in their position. And I'm glad I'm not in their position. But they are going to give up 3-1s if they are going to get Deshaun Watson. Atlanta and New Orleans right now are waiting to give up 3-1s to the Houston Texans for Deshaun Watson to come over and be their quarterback, knowing that he's going to spend some time not playing quarterback for them after they sign him.
Kim, last word real quick.
You know he's going to be suspended. Teams already factor that into the decision, and you're thinking very like in a vacuum because you're not thinking like a team right now that is desperate, a team trying to win. You're thinking, oh, if all things are equal and what I would give. The situation is Atlanta and New Orleans. They need somebody, and he's the best guy available right now, and you will give up whatever.
Deshaun Watson has not played a game since January. Only NFL team he's played for. But according to our own Jake Trotter, the Browns said no. There's been a lot of questions about Mayfield's future with the team for a very long time now. And all that seemed to be out of the window. But a few days ago, the Cleveland met with Deshaun Watson to try to convince him to come. That same day, Mayfield put out a lengthy statement thanking Browns fans. And then the Browns have been told that they're out of the running for Watson. But Mayfield told Adam Schefter that at this point, the relationship is too far gone to mend. Kimberly is back with us. Kimberly, this is crazy. I mean, we know how we feel, how you feel about Baker Mayfield. Obviously, you love Baker, but he's in his feelings a little bit. So who would you blame in this situation? Are you blaming the Browns or are you going to blame Bake?
I just have one question. When it comes to who looks bad and do the Browns look bad for not honoring Baker's trade request? My only question is he under contract? Because he is. Okay, end of discussion. They don't have to do anything. In fact, the Green Bay Packers should actually have followed what the Browns did and said, no, Davante, we're not trading you. That's it. No, you don't want to be here. We want you. You're stuck. Because that is the NFL business. And felt like people, I saw on social media, people were trying to liken the situation to, again, relationships, because I'm a former psych major. So people were trying to liken this to, oh, the Browns try to dip out, go see a next person, that person doesn't want him, and come back and make sure that things are good at home. You think the Browns are really worried about Baker's fit? Like, in all seriousness, the only thing I would tell Andrew Berry, the GM, is you should have just told Baker directly. Not because you had to, but because you know exactly who Baker is. We know who Baker is. He is sensitive. It's all about emotion with him, and he needs to feel special, right? So you should have just said to cut all this off at the pass. I hear you. You told his representatives, his camp, they knew, hey, top-tier quarterbacks are available. We're gonna explore that. That doesn't mean we don't like Baker, but we don't love him, because if we loved him, we would have given him a contract extension last year, which they didn't. But again, this is not to act like the NFL is about, unconditional love. The NFL is about open relationships. You are together until something better comes along. And that is what Baker has to understand, because that's why I don't fault players for going after what they want. You want money? Go get it. Because the minute your team feels like they can upgrade or find a cheaper option or a better option, they'll do that. But it's about leverage too. And Baker does not have leverage besides hurt feelings. And once he calms down and surveys the landscape, then I think cooler heads will prevail. Come on with it. Come on with it.
So you were a psychology major.
And an African American Studies double major. Undergrad. Yes, sir.
I know the African American doubles major. I mean, I got that part. I want to get back to the first
psych,
part.
yes.
You were a psychology major. That explains a lot, Kimberly.
I'm different.
That explains a lot.
I'm built different, sir. Yeah.
I feel you on that. I got that. I'm gonna let that go. Psychology major, y'all, for future reference. Psychology major explains a lot.
Yes.
Now let me say this. Baker Mayfield, Marcus Spears said it earlier. Got to know your place.
Right.
At the end of the day, when you look at Baker Mayfield, come on, bro. You 26 years old. That means when you were trying to make decisions for the organization, you were about 23. 23, 24. Just got in the league, wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac, and here you are going to tell them that Freddie Kitchens needed to be the next head coach of the franchise. And where did that get you? And so as a result, what we're seeing is Baker Mayfield has had 4 complete seasons in the National Football League. He had an 11-5 season the season before last, where they went to the playoffs and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was his best year, obviously. The other 3 seasons, he never won more than 6 games, each of those seasons. And he has a 29-30 record overall. Okay, so when we look at it from that perspective, that's not great. When you look at the Freddie Kitchens decision, that wasn't great. When you look at your willingness to be emotional and public with it, that doesn't work great for you. And then when you got into the whole brouhaha with Odell Beckham Jr., when Odell Beckham Jr.'s daddy had to go rogue and just, expose himself just to get his son the hell out of Cleveland, and it turned out to be a brilliant move because he ends up in L.A. and he captures a Super Bowl championship for the first time in his career, although he got hurt. I believe if Odell Beckham Jr. had stayed healthy, he might have been an MVP of that game because he was balling. And they were going to blow Cincinnati out of the building if Odell Beckham Jr. hadn't gotten hurt. So I look at it from this perspective, and I say to myself, you couldn't make that work, Baker Mayfield? You got to remember, this is something that I've religiously said about Baker Mayfield, outside of the fact that he's got more progressive commercials than wins. This is the one thing that I've said. And I'm not throwing shade on Baker Mayfield because I like him. He's not a scrub. He can play. I happen to think he's a good guy. He's just opinionated and emotional, and that's not a crime. I don't think he's a bad guy at all. And I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's a bit undersized. If he was taller, for example, I think he would have been more effective, but he's not, and that is what it is. What I would say about Baker Mayfield is this. Religiously, I have stated that when you think about the Cleveland Browns offense, the problem is your quarterback can't be your weak link. The weak link wasn't the tight end. The weak link wasn't the offensive line. The weak link wasn't some people say at times the weak link was the offensive line. The weak link certainly was not your wideouts, and it damn sure wasn't your running game with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. We went to you. And when you are to any quarterback in the National Football League, here's all you need to know. When anybody looks at a team's offense and the quarterback is the weak link, that is a problem. The quarterback can't be the weak link of the offense. Like you might have situations, that's what Tennessee's going through now. Ryan Tannehill wet the bed, threw the first pass of the game was an interception. Well, guess what the problem is? Not only did you have Derrick Henry, you had the dudes backing him up when he was out that still let them as a pretty damn good running game. You had A.J. Brown as your wide receiver. Julio Jones came back. So when you look at Tennessee, what's the weak link? The weak link is Ryan Tannehill. When you look at Cleveland, the weak link is Baker Mayfield. That cannot be the case. Tennessee's not going anywhere. Cleveland's not going anywhere because the question that we have about those franchises are at the quarterback position. That can't be the case.
And that's the reason Cleveland didn't give him a long-term extension, because heading into this year, week 1 against the Chiefs, I was there. Fourth quarter, 1:09 to go. Baker throws a fourth quarter interception. They lose. The next week, Houston, he throws an interception, tries to make a tackle, injures himself, and then the rest of the season is, oh, I'm hurt, all this stuff. The Browns felt shaky about him before he even got hurt. And that, I think, is what Baker has to understand. He has not done enough on the field. This is a ready-made, potentially playoff roster. If he just does his job, just go back and win games, and that's it. That's it.
I think the thing that'll be interesting is seeing whether or not they're able to mend this relationship and if Baker ends up being the quarterback in Cleveland next year. All right, we got to move on to the NBA, next to the NFL. Remember that Aaron Rodgers post on Instagram about gratitude and being thankful for his teammates? It included Davante Adams, but after Rodgers signed his extension with the Packers, Adams is no longer a Packer. The wideout is headed to Las Vegas on a 5-year, $141.25 million deal, becoming the new highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. Knowing that Adams is now out, did the Packers make a mistake with the Rodgers deal, Stephen A?
I think they did. I think they did from the standpoint that, you got to make sure you can't capitulate to a quarterback at the expense of alienating his number one weapon. When there is a distance between the number one and the number two receiver by continents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my God. I mean, Davante Adams is number one. Your number two is, he ain't even in the same stratosphere. No disrespect to Valdez Scantling, Lazard, or any of them. Marquinius, whatever the hell, Equanimous Brown, or whatever. He left, he departed. Yeah. All right, we got all of that. But, Davante Adams is on another level. And if you're Aaron Rodgers and you sign for this money, and it's at the expense of this guy, losing this guy. Because remember, we're not talking about the fact that they were going to match the money or anything like that. Like Marcus alluded to earlier, we're talking about what they had opportunities to do in the past where it would not have gotten to this point. Your hesitancy in that regard had everything to do with Aaron Rodgers. And so at the end of the day, to keep Aaron Rodgers, obviously he's your number one option. Everything works around him, and we get all of that. But you guys are supposed to lose Davante Adams. And by losing Davante Adams, to me, that drastically compromises the success of this team. And I'm pointing the finger at Aaron Rodgers a hell of a lot more than I'm even pointing it at the Packers organization, because they were right to keep Aaron Rodgers as their number one option. But it was Aaron Rodgers' responsibility to make sure Davante Adams was his number one responsibility. And the fact that that's not the case, yeah, you can let him go. You know what? That's your boy, Derek Carr. Y'all cool. Y'all brothers. Play at Fresno State. Friends. Keep in touch. I get all that. But we talking business. I'm trying to win football games. And I need a brother that I know I can rely upon to catch that football. How you let that man walk out the door is an incredible indictment against Aaron Rodgers.
And say, to your point, listen, man, we dealing with unknowns. And I know, I'm excited for Davante because he gets a chance to go to Las Vegas and play with his best friend. But we don't know if that production is going to be the same. We don't know if that situation, I'm talking about on the football field, is going to be the same. That's why it's so much emphasis from me put on the fact that Davante decided to depart. Stephen A., if I told you, hey, man, you're going to make $50 million this year, and all of these things that you've already been experiencing are going to continue to happen, and we're going to build upon that, and you still decide to leave? You still decide to go to a quote-unquote unknown and a new situation to try to figure out if you are still going to be as productive and looked at as the same? Don't get me wrong. I fully expect Davante Adams to still be the top wide receiver in the NFL when it comes to his ability and his impact and what you can do on the field. But I also know that Davante Adams left a situation where he knew, I'm going to get 100 balls thrown my way. I'm going to be an all-pro. I'm going to go to the Pro Bowl. I'm in the NFC with an opportunity to win a championship because the quarterback has come back. This franchise has already shown me that I am priority when I talk about on the field as far as making sure that I'm getting the football and being highly productive. and he decided to leave. And I get the money, but let's not get it twisted. Just like I said about Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams was going to get a lot of money from a lot of people when his opportunity came up. But he decided to leave and go to Las Vegas because Las Vegas was a better situation in his mind and his foresight because of the drama he dealt with his quarterback. And we can put this on Green Bay front office as much as we want to. And everybody talk about how bad this front office is from Green Bay. Well, they wasn't bad enough for Aaron Rodgers to decide to sign his contract and come back. All of the relationships coincidentally got fixed throughout a season after you spent the offseason destroying I'm not going to even say an offseason. You didn't say anything. You flamed them in their own room, in their own media room before the season started about how bad things had gotten and the decisions that you potentially were going to make. But then you come a year later, and it's a better relationship. And I'm going to tell you, Stephen A., as I sit here today, and me and you talk, you know why that relationship was better? Because he had him right where he wanted him. He had him right where that's why the situation was better, because I'm going to get $50 million from these people. They are desperate. They have exhausted everything to make sure I know that they want me back. So I know now that I hold all the cards. And Davante Adams sitting back saying, damn, I don't even know if this dude gonna even want to come back and play quarterback. I don't even know who gonna throw me the damn football. I know I got a chance to win a Super Bowl, but I don't know if Aaron Rodgers even wants to play football anymore. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go hook up with a guy that I know as a friend, as a really good friend from a long time ago, and I'm going to bet on that, as opposed to betting on being one of the most prolific quarterback wide receiver tandems in the history of the NFL with an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. This will be like Jerry Rice departing from Joe Montana, Stephen A.
Well, let me tell you this. In a roundabout, in a more direct way, Derek Carr's relationship with Davante Adams is a hell of a lot better than Aaron Rodgers' relationship with Davante Adams. Now, y'all were friends before you ever got to the pros, so no shade there. But the flip side is, God help Aaron Rodgers if we ever find out that, you know what, I just wasn't feeling playing with you any longer, my brother. Too much drama and all of this other stuff. Because then everything that has been said about Aaron Rodgers is coming to pass. This chicken's coming home to roost. Because you got what you wanted, this is your team or whatever. And if we're sitting here in 3 years and Aaron Rodgers don't have a Super Bowl appearance or a Super Bowl championship to show for it, then Aaron Rodgers prioritized money over the team. And that is going to be attached to him forever. He better go, hey, listen, he's a bad brother. You know how I think of him, how special I think he is.
Elite.
But you can't, when you lose like you lost to San Francisco, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable for a guy of his talent to not have been in a Super Bowl for the last 12 years. It's unacceptable.
Hey, Stephen A., last thing. Let's also not forget that Aaron Rodgers told this franchise, I do not want to be a part of a rebuild. Well, you a part of one now in your wide receiver room. You better hope that they get it right, or you could attract somebody to come play in Green Bay, because it don't look like nobody clamoring at that door.
Adams leaving ends, you mentioned this, Swagoo, ends the most successful quarterback-receiver partnership in Packers history. Swagoo, you're leaving us. It was so great working with you.
Much love, Christine. Appreciate it. All right, big dog.
All right, man.
Bye. Coming up, how much trouble are the Warriors, Russell Westbrook, to the point that people just are being extremely disrespectful about it? And Wednesday night's bad loss to the Timberwolves, Westbrook was getting trash talk and mocking from not only the fans, but also the Minnesota players, including a moment after a missed shot where Patrick Beverley and Karl Anthony Towns asked if the wind blew Westbrook's shot. So we have to have a conversation about this. Perk is going to be back with us. Stephen A. has some thoughts on this, but Perk, I'm going to start with you. Were the Timberwolves out of line for mocking Westbrook?
Well, Christine, Stephen A., you look up at me when I'm talking, okay?
Yeah,
Don't you put your head down right now.
Well, you stop to be around. You're the protege.
Yeah, whatever. Here's the thing. I make my appearances on First Take on Mondays and Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. Eastern, okay? So that means that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I get to sit back and watch you. And I get to listen to you. I get to listen to great takes that you have. I get to listen to good takes that you have. And then I get to listen to takes that make my damn skin crawl. That you say. And one of them was yesterday. And I couldn't believe it. For the fact that you had the audacity to say that the Minnesota Act, the Timberwolves Act, as far as Patrick Beverley and Karl Anthony Towns, was a bit classless. Now, let me remind you, Stephen A., Patrick Beverley and Russell Westbrook has a history. You know that. Russell Westbrook said that Patrick Beverley tricked y'all. And he was referring to his defensive prowess and being a defensive player. What is Patrick Beverley known for? His defense. So at some point, when you have a guy that's an MVP caliber player that won the MVP, led multiple triple-double seasons and all that, you could possibly end somebody's career by your comments, right? So at the end of the day, Russell Westbrook knows that when you get between those lines and that when you're about to face Patrick Beverley every single time, that it's about to be a war. It's about to go down. And so the thing that I want you to back off of and I want you to face reality of, you be the main one that sit up here and tell me how soft the NBA done got. And we're talking about a little lip boxing. That's it, a little lip boxing. They're not swinging punches. They're not taking shots personal. They talking about his game of basketball, which Russell Westbrook has handed out a lot of lip boxing battles and have won a lot of championships. Right. He rocking the baby, he too small. So I just wanted to address you about that.
Well, first of all, there's a couple of things, and I'm not going to get on you about it. I'm going to be quite serious with what I'm about to say because I think it's a serious subject for reasons that you and I both really, really know and we're about to get into now. First things first, I appreciate where you're coming from because you're a former teammate of Russell Westbrook. You got a lot of love for the brother, and all you doing is telling him to man up and be accountable for his transgressions and some of the things he may have instigated. I respect that. But you talk about watching First Take. You're misquoting me. I said nothing about Patrick Beverley. I specifically said I had no problem with Patrick Beverley, A, because of their history with one another, and B, because Patrick Beverley is in the NBA because he's a professional pest. That's how he's in the NBA. That's what he does. And so I didn't hold him accountable at all. Who I looked at was Karl Anthony Towns, who is class personified, who is a star in this league, who's always held himself who's always conducted himself with class no matter what. And what I'm saying is, let's understand something. And I'll divulge, I ain't gonna say any names, but I'm gonna tell you what happened to me yesterday, KP. An NBA superstar who is a future Hall of Famer called me, and it was not a teammate of Russell Westbrook, called me because he was so alarmed at the tsunami of stuff coming in Russell Westbrook's direction. And what he said was, this was after the show, not before the show. What he said was, look, man, he's having an awful year. And him and Patrick Beverley, that is what it is. But how everybody comes at him like this. This is a brother that's going into the Hall of Fame. This is a brother that's averaged a triple-double 4 separate seasons, a former league MVP. Yeah, this year is bad. But damn, you talk about beating a horse when he's down. You know, it's every day. We won't let up. And nobody's remembering all the things he's meant to the game prior to this season. And so for me, what I was saying was, you Minnesota, you've had one playoff appearance in 17 years. Karl Anthony Towns, who we both love and respect. Great brother, great player. You've been there 7 years, you got one playoff appearance. And you sitting there and you mocking this brother at that particular moment in time. I had people within the Wolves organization text me to thank me for getting on those players because they were like, damn, we ain't done anything yet, and look at how we acting right now. Let's be better than that. It's not that they were wrong. It's that, again, you kicking it while it's done. And Russell Westbrook has done that. He's embarrassed quite a few people, so there's no doubt about that. But for the Minnesota Timberwolves to be like that when you've been what you've been as a franchise since KG left. It was like, damn, y'all, really? That's all I was saying. It was specifically about Cat, not Patrick Beverley.
No, I get that, but we have to realize who is the leader of that team. The leader of that team is not the franchise guy. The leader of that team is Patrick Beverley. That's why they signed him to an extension of $13 million because of the leadership and the tenacity. What have we questioned about Karl Anthony Towns? Not his talent. We question his tenacity. And so he's following his leadership, Stephen A. And I get it, right? Listen, I get it. You know how I feel about Russell Westbrook. At the end of the day, if it was a different player sitting up here, I would be saying the same thing. My thing is, and I repeat, if you're going to be a guy that dish it out, you got to be able to take it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole thing about it. So I understand we're pounding on Russell Westbrook right now. I understand a lot of the media getting on him. Everybody's getting on him. I get all that, Stephen A. But again, he signed up to go to the Lakers.
I agree.
To win a championship.
We know
and
that.
They're achieving, brother.
We'll talk about it later, and I totally get where you're coming from. I'm just saying there does come a point where it is a bit excessive, and coming from a team with one playoff appearance in 17 years, it's like, whoa, come on, y'all. Chill with it a little bit. It was because I ain't see Westbrook do all of that to people, what they did to him the other night. I ain't see that from Russell Westbrook. But we'll talk about it later.
All right, Perk, you're leaving us. Like they say, if you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen. But we do need to calm down a little bit on Russell Westbrook. See you later, Perk. You and your glasses looking good, as always. More fish take to come, coming up next. All right, depending on how you look at yesterday's news about Steph Curry, it could be good or it could be bad. After getting his foot rolled on in the game versus Boston on Wednesday, an MRI showed no structural damage or serious injury. So that's the good part. The not so good part is that Curry is expected to miss the rest of the regular season with a foot sprain. The hope is that he'll be able to return by the start of the Western Conference playoffs. That, according to Woj and Ramona Shelburne. Perk is here with us now, and I want to talk about your glasses, because are those prescription?
No, they not. It's called fashion, Christine.
It's just the swag. Fashion. I just made sure that's what you were bringing with us today.
Yeah.
Okay, Perk. So Steph, Clay, and Draymond have only played 2 games together this season, and now this is happening. So are the Warriors' titles hopes over?
Hell yeah, they over. And look, it's not because of the lack of playing time that Steph, Clay, and Draymond has had this season. Look, these guys have played together their entire career. They know how to find the chemistry. It's about the others. And when you saw Steve Kerr get mad the other night at Marcus Smart, yes, it was about protecting Steph Curry, but it was about him having 12 games left in the season and him trying to find his rotations, trying to find the continuity, trying to find the chemistry. Remember, Clay got back, and I said this, it was going to be guys that were going to have to play different roles. Now you have to find out where you're going to play Jordan Poole, how you going to play Kuminga, how is Draymond and Kuminga going to play with one another. And if you're a head coach, when you get to this period of time where it matters the most, going into the home stretch, the last part of the season, you want to have guys knowing their roles and knowing their place. And that's why I say that with Steph Curry being injured and not coming back into the playoffs, that yes, I strongly believe that the Warrior title hopes are done for this season, period.
I disagree with that. I disagree that it's done. I will concede that it's a bit tougher because the likelihood is that they're not going to be a 2 seed, which means in order for them to get out of the West, they're going to have not 1 but 2 series where they're the road team. They're not the home team in a potential Game 7, whether it be against Memphis, whether it be against Phoenix. I totally get all of that. But when I think about the Golden State Warriors, I'm not going to summarily dismiss the experience. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Clay coming back compromised them to some degree because they didn't look as good as they looked at times when he was out. because you're trying to fit him back to the equation and get him going. And so he's had games where he's exploded, and then there were other games where he just seemed a bit distant and a bit out of it, like when we were at the Lakers game, when the NBA Countdown team was at the Lakers game that Saturday night when LeBron dropped 56. So it's stuff like that. He only scored like 7 points that game or something along those lines. So I understand that, but that was without the services of Draymond Green. I think Draymond Green's is pivotal to their success. I think that he's a point forward and an orchestrator on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, he's definitely their captain. He talks on defense. He holds individuals accountable, and I think they'll be better exponentially defensively. Here's where it gets interesting for me, KP. Have you seen Jordan Poole lately? He's averaging 17 on the season. Last 8 games, he scored a minimum of 20 points, dropped about 32 against Denver, had 29 the other night against Boston. With Steph Curry being out, the style of play that Jordan Poole plays, how he pulls the trigger quick, and he doesn't need a lot of space in order to get off that shot or whatever. I think he's going to flourish. He's going to step in and play the role that Steph Curry usually plays. I think you're going to see offensive explosions from Jordan Poole in the days to come. Now, how that's going to work once Steph Curry gets back is why I hear what you're saying. All I'm saying is I can't rule it out, because what if they're comfortable playing with one another enough where when Steph comes back, the shot's going to still be there. Jordan Poole has elevated his level of play. Clay is going to be more of a focal point of the offense with Steph out as well, and Draymond is back healthy. I don't think you can look at the Warriors and say their title hopes are over. It might be, but it might not be. This could potentially work to their advantage is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but Stephen A., listen, I'm not knocking Jordan Poole, but I want you to realize, and you know this, in the playoffs comes adjustments, right? Just say hypothetically that Steph Curry is not back. No, Jordan Poole get a lot of his success based off the attention that Steph Curry's put on the defense. When it's playoff time, I need to see if he could still be that guy when it's an hour scouting report that's being put on him. No. See, it's a difference. See, when you in that film room, that stack of papers get this thick on you. That stack of papers... Yeah.
But we're making 2 separate points. Like, I'm not disagreeing with that. That's totally accurate. Okay. I totally get that. What I'm saying to you is, first of all, we're assuming Steph Curry's going to be back. We're making it because you're right. The title hopes are gone if Steph Curry can't play. We're not talking about the Warriors as title as champions if Steph Curry can't play. We're assuming he needs to be out for the rest of the regular season so he can be ready for the playoffs. So if Curry is ready for the playoffs because there's no sustainable injury to it, this injury he incurred, then with this foot sprain, then we're talking about Steph Curry being fresh because he's got some rest on the rest of his legs, mind you. Okay, his legs are rested. We're talking about him being fresh because the concern we had about him is that he was losing some of the legs because of the load that he had to carry, particularly with Clay out the first part of the season, Draymond out the second part of the season. He comes back, Clay and Draymond is in the mix, and then you have Jordan Poole, who's elevated his level of play, but he's not the number 1 option. I think this could end up working wonders for the Golden State Warriors.
But Stephen A., to your point, you are right. You're hitting a lot of points, but let's just see when Steph comes back. Because let me remind you, right, he has a history of ankle problems. And now he's dealing with this. So we just don't know. Again, we don't know. But I'm looking at it right now in the way teams are playing across the league. And I'm looking at the Western Conference, what the Mavericks are doing, what Memphis is doing, and what Denver is doing. And I just think that, and Draymond said it himself, health is everything. So I just want to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that.
But all I'm saying is when we make our predictions and our prognostications, we shove injuries aside because that's a given. We know if they're not healthy, it's not a discussion. When I'm talking about if Steph comes back healthy, I'm not talking about what you're going to do without Steph. Because without Steph, we ain't talking about them as winning the title out west. But with Steph back, fresh legs, and the rest of the dudes ready to go, now we're talking a different story is all I'm saying.
Kirk, you got anything?
No, he's good. He's good.
All right.
He's good.
Kirk, don't
he's
go
looking
anywhere.
good, too, and he's feeling good. He's looking good and feeling
Exactly.
good. He in 75-degree weather. Don't feel sorry for him. He's in 75-degree weather, man. Don't feel sorry for him.
All right, Kirk, don't go anywhere.
Sun
Baker
shining in the back.
Mayfield has made it clear that he wants out of Cleveland.
Not just we lose a game, it's that this season ended with this group and how much joy they brought to me and our staff. And it's one of those games. But I was hoping I could get them by it to get on to the next game, to get their feet underneath them. And obviously I didn't do a very good job with it.
All right, we have our friend and college basketball analyst Seth Greenberg here to talk about it. Seth, I loved your tweet this morning about Kentucky. You said, yeah, of course, you had them in this matchup. But we heard what Calipari just said. Do you feel like he was outcoached last night?
A head coach is responsible for how his team plays offensively and defensively and how they compete. And in relation to how St. Peter's competed and how St. Peter's played, yeah, he was outcoached. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, here's the situation. Like, Oscar Tshiebwe was terrific yesterday, 11 for 16. The rest of the team was 15 for 45. They missed 6 free throws in overtime. But more importantly, I didn't think their defensive game plan was very, very good. And Shaheen Holloway did a great job. They pressured the backcourt of Kentucky, pushed them out, distorted them, and basically took them out of the game. And then offensively, St. Peter's was 50 from the field, 52 from the three, and basically dominated the game. So Shaheen Holloway did an absolutely incredible job, John Calipari, because in coaching, basically the players get the wins, the coaches get the losses. He's responsible for the loss, and he'll be held accountable.
I'm thinking about John Calipari. I've known him for many years. Remember, Coach, that I used to coach Temple University when I was at the Philadelphia Inquirer, and I've known John Calipari since the days that he was at UMass with guys like Lou Rowe, Marcus Camby, Mike Williams, and those boys. Bruiser Flint was his assistant coach, et cetera, et cetera. He's been around for a long time. He's been to a few Final Fours, et cetera. He's got one national championship. How should we look at John Calipari today, considering how epic this loss is? This is one of the biggest losses. I think it's like top 2 in NCAA tournament history. That's how big this loss was. How should we be looking at John Calipari this morning?
Look, John Calipari is a Hall of Fame coach whose team didn't play well, and he's responsible for them not playing well, and he'll be held accountable in terms of perception for not playing well. It's an epic loss. It's probably very similar to what happened with Virginia and Tony Bennett losing to UMBC, or Bill Self, losing to Lehigh. I mean, these things are going to happen. Here's what you don't understand. When you get to the NCAA tournament, the team you're playing against, whether it's Iowa playing against Richmond or whether it's Kentucky playing against St. Peter's, those dudes expect to win. They're not an opponent, just someone to play against in the opening round. All right, they've won 20 games. They've won 25 games. Those guys have pride. They're going to compete. How people are going to look at John Calipari? I guess the naysayers are going to say, John Calipari, the game passed him by. John Calipari didn't do a great job with this team. I'm not sure how good the team was in terms of sending guys into the NBA. But John Calipari's won national championships. He's been to Final Fours at 3 different schools. He's knocked at the door. Is he disappointed? No doubt about it, he's disappointed. It's crushing. It's crushing for him. It's crushing for the Big Blue Nation. It's crushing for those kids. But, to me, it's one game. Does one game define a guy's career? No, but one game defines a guy's career in this season. And for this season, for Kentucky, this is a lost season, despite all the success they had, despite being Kansas by a zillion points, despite how they played a good majority of the season. At the end of the season, they didn't defend and they didn't execute offensively.
Before, listen, I don't want to let you go without getting into Duke, because they got a game against Cal State Fullerton. But I got to ask you about Iowa. I expected things from them. They ended up losing.
Woo-hoo.
I mean, my God. I mean, you and I both talked about how that maybe not a sleep or whatever, but we expected some stuff from Iowa, particularly with the Murray brothers and what have you. What are your thoughts about what happened to them? I mean, UNC steamrolled over Marquette. That was maybe the most lopsided 8-9 seed game I saw in recent memory at the very least. But I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Iowa. I'm shocked that they got knocked off. What are your thoughts about that?
Richmond has 4 fifth-year seniors. Richmond, again, another team, they won 24 games this year. Richmond, a guy on their roster, Jacob Gilliard, that is the all-time leader in steals in the NCAA history. Tyler Burton's going to be an NBA player. Those guys play a system that's difficult to prepare for. Those are all the reasons why. In the end, Richmond imposed their identity on the game. They pressured and pushed Iowa out. They were more physical. They were tougher. And in the offensive end, they got the shot they want. I was shocked. I thought that Keegan Murray had a chance to have a Kemba-type run. They did not do a good job, Iowa, of getting him the ball. I thought they were kind of more democratic in what they were trying to do offensively. And Richmond's guards absolutely dominated Iowa's guards. Great win for Richmond. That's their 24th win. They're a dangerous team because of their style of play and a quick turnaround.
All right, let's head to the other blue blood, Duke. And obviously they had some some big losses recently. They lost to Virginia Tech in the ACC championship. They lost on Coach K's last home game. They're going into the postseason as a 2 seed. They play Cal Fullerton today. It's Coach K's last season. Do you feel like they're going to go far in the championship?
I think they can get to the Elite Eight. This is Coach K's senior night, basically, all season long, whether it was his last game at Cameron, his last ACC tournament, or his last NCAA. Here's the thing. Could Duke win a national championship? They could, but they got to get back to their championship DNA. When you think of the great Duke teams, what do you think of? Dominating defensively, up and into you. You can't run offense against them. They force turnovers. They get out and transition out of their defense. And then offensively, what do you think about? You think about the great players that played of Duke taking over games at the end of the game, whether it's Jay Will, whether it's Shane Battier, whether it's J.J. Redick, whether it's Johnny Dawkins back in the day. I don't know if they have that guy. You want to say it's Paolo Banchero, but he hasn't been that guy at the end of games. For Duke to win a national championship this year, for Duke to get past the Elite Eight, get past Gonzaga, all right, they've got to have Paolo Banchero step up at the end of the game. They've got to Paolo Banchero give them 40 minutes, not 10 minutes, not sporadic, not settle. As a team, they've got to have a toughness of know exactly who they are and how they win offensively and defensively, and they've got to compete offensively in the half court to get the shot they want. And to get the shot they want, I think that Banchero's got to be a big part of that. A.J. Griffin can knock down shots. I love Trevor Keels, but in the end, Banchero's got to be the guy.
All right, you didn't have Kentucky winning or losing, but we know your insight is still unmatched. So thanks so much, Coach.
Man, I had him in
I
my
have an
Final
Elite Eight.
Four.
So did I.
I threw
Me
out my
too.
the minute
Oh my
Kentucky
gosh,
lost
so bad.
last night, I threw out my bracket,
I
Coach.
know.
Don't throw out your
It's
bracket.
over.
This is
I had them in the
makes
Final
the
Four, and they
NCAA
lost in the
tournament what it
first
is.
round.
I think Gonzaga almost lost. It was
I
just
got
not
no
a good
shot
day.
now.
It was not a good day.
Well,
It was not a
you
good
didn't
day.
expect to win. You expected to win, go to Vegas and make a lot of money and sit on a big yacht and smoke a cigar and hang out.
Well, not Vegas. I get it more South Beach or
All right,
Marina
understand.
Del
You're
Rey.
doing
I
that
mean, I would
anyway.
take
Is that what it
that
is?
rather than Vegas.
Right.
But the point is valid.
Yeah, I agree. My bracket is also busted. Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
The Deshaun Watson sweep